Hi guys, I'm Mike.
And I'm Stephen.
And this is F1 Fanatics. Welcome back to the Monday after race day. We're actually still filming this on the Sunday, but for you, it is the Monday after race day, which means it is driver ratings day, the place where we rate the grid with a rating out of 10 for their race performance in yesterday's this case, Belgian Grand Prix. And as usual, we will bounce between the two teams, giving each of the drivers their score out of 10. And then at the end, we will look forward to hearing your ratings down below in the comments. And if you're new around here or haven't done so already, don't forget you can leave a thumbs up on this video and drop us a subscribe to kind of keep up to date with all our latest content on the channel. But jumping straight into those ratings, it's going to be me with the Williams drivers, and we'll get the easy one out the way, which is George Russell. Really unfortunate race for him yesterday. He was kind of, qualified P15, another strong qualifying performance for George Russell. Dropped back further down. As always, the Williams race pace just isn't there, but Giovinazzi spun out, which will come into probably Stephen's rating, but both of them would be no ratings. Basically because a wheel took out Russell's front right wheel and he was kind of left a passenger as he crashed into the wall. So it's a no rating for George Russell. His teammate Nicholas Latifi managed to finish ahead of Kevin Magnussen, but Roman Grosjean did finish ahead of him. I don't know, the Williams just didn't really seem to have any sort of race pace. So I'm going to go, it's a 7 out of 10 for Nicholas Latifi because he did actually manage to beat the Haas of Kevin Magnussen. Alfa Romeo.
There we go, Alfa Romeo. As he said, Giovinazzi, another mistake from Gio, another spin. It's a common sight with Giovinazzi sometimes. And yeah, it was a really bad crash. So glad to see both drivers swiftly making exits from their cars and looking all okay, because Gio's car looked in a terrible state.
I think everyone had that kind of pause moment when they saw it, like
when the rear wings have gone flying off the car. You know, it's like a big impact has happened. But yeah, no score for him, but another drive error. So yeah, with generous is probably the word for an race score. Could have rated him very harshly, but yes. Kimi on the other hand.
Wait, what did you rate Gio?
No score.
No score. Oh, yeah.
We said that was fair.
No rating. Yes, it could have been much worse.
Yeah, you could give him a 1. But yes, Kimi Raikkonen gets on the top spot yet again in the Ferrari Formula 1 Championship.
That very prestigious championship that all the Ferrari-powered cars are paying attention to in this year. And actually, in some quarters, people may say that is a more competitive championship than the actual Formula 1 Drivers' Championship this year.
If we had a point system, we could tell you how close it was, but
we don't.
Kimi in 12th, it looked like there was points available at one point, but no, Gasly and Checo came flying through the pack. Yeah, a pretty good race for Kimi, actually. He was the fastest Ferrari out there. He overtook Vettel without DRS, which just shows he's still got it. He loves Spa, so obviously you expect him to do well. He had a very solid race. 8 out of 10 for Kimi, I think is good.
Yeah, very fair for the ageing Finn, but still.
Ageing Finn. I can see that coming as a nickname for one of the F1 games.
Yeah, exactly. You know, we had the flying Finn, and now it's the ageing Finn. Oh, Kimi, he's getting on. But still fantastic. Brilliant performance from him out there today. We move on to another Ferrari-powered car, and that was Haas. Kevin Magnussen started P20th. I believe he had kind of new stuff put on his car, I think engines and stuff. It all really went wrong for Haas at the start of the weekend in practice sessions, missing large chunks of it. Probably weren't ever going to do particularly well in this race. Magnussen, I give a 5 out of 10 because I don't really know if anything was particularly wrong with his car, but it's dead last. You can't really rate it any higher than that. And Roman Grosjean probably a 6 out of 10 because he's beaten his teammate, so bonus points for that. But
lost out on the podium. Yeah, he lost out to Vettel in the end, but yeah.
Yeah, lost out on that Ferrari championship podium. It is, a massive prestige that he was going for. It was so unlucky from Grosjean today. Would have massively elevated his score if he could get onto the Ferrari championship podium. Oh God! And you know what? We usually put them in P3 in this position, but I think we should probably get them out of the way with.
Move on to Ferrari next.
Yeah,
get the Ferrari championship out of the way. Where were they in the end? 13th and 14th for Vettel and Leclerc, respectively. I'm trying to think of any big moments for them.
Leclerc had a hydraulics issue.
Did he? Was that confirmed? Well, neither of them had race pace. I think it's not fair to say. It just is. They didn't have race pace. They couldn't beat the Alfa. But, both did okay, I guess, for the car they're driving. I can't rate them. I know Vettel beat Leclerc, but they're both awful races for a Ferrari. I know for 2020 Ferrari even. Like 6s for both?
I think that's probably fair.
You could give Vettel more, but your Leclerc had problems. 6s for both. Monza could get very embarrassing for them. I know this was pretty embarrassing. You can't get much more, but maybe a Haas beats one of the Ferraris.
I feel like it will be more so because they were just losing everything on the straights.
And Monza is more straight.
It is more straight, yes. So very difficult for them. We move on to Alpha Tauri, a more positive Alpha sent on this. One for one of the drivers and another one who I think probably we're getting to that stage where we'll probably talk more about it in the race review podcast tomorrow. But he might be looking at being out of F1 next year in the form of Daniel Kvyat. Qualified ahead of his teammate for the first time this season. But that was probably where the positives of Daniel Kvyat's weekend ended. P11, haven't come across any issues that he particularly had. Had to let his teammate go later on because Gasly was flying on a different strategy, but Gasly had flew at the start of the race, in fairness.
He climbed up massively.
He was making big progress.
And if it wasn't for the safety guy, he probably would have finished even higher. But yeah.
Yeah, so with Daniel Kvyat, we're going to go for a we didn't get any points and
finished P11.
4 out of 10.
4 out of 10.
I think that's probably fair for Daniel Kvyat for this performance. And for Pierre Gasly, 9 out of 10. Incredible performance. Brilliant pace all the through. And the fantastic thing at the start of the race was he was lightning quick and he was on the hard compound compared to a lot of the people he was overtaking on the softer compound. So that was there. Got stitched up by the safety car because if he pitted, he would have had to have committed to a 2-stop strategy because you have to use 2 different compounds in a race. And there was no way that he could... Well, he couldn't pit for a medium compound. I know Alex Albon did get to it, but Gasly wouldn't have had the race that he did. So all he had to do was go long on the harder compound and then make up the places on the medium compound later on the race, which he did. And I think he finished ahead of both Racing Points and only behind Norris.
P8 in the end.
Yeah, so fantastic race for Pierre Gasly. So in a 9 out of 10 for him.
Who do we move on to next? Renault?
Yeah, I think Renault's fair. Or McLaren, probably McLaren.
We could even stop at Racing Point.
Yeah, yeah.
P9 and P10. Where were Racing Point this weekend? Poor qualifying, only did 1 lap in the final shootout. Both drivers struggling. Checo, it was a bit of an odd strategy call, but if one man's going to conserve tyres and not make the most of the safety car, it's going to be Checo. But he had a good fight through the pack. Finished behind Gasly though, didn't have the pace to go any higher than... Well, he finished 10th in the end. Couldn't even catch his teammate, but maybe there's team orders there at the end. 10th, P10, qualified P8.
I believe so.
Qualified ahead of Stroll. So he lost 2 positions. Race pace just didn't seem there, but I'm going to give him a for that car, 4 out of 10.
Wow. Yeah, no, that is...
And to move
brutal.
on to Stroll, started P9, finished P9. To be fair, Checo was messed up by strategy. Maybe he gets a 5. And maybe I give another double points, 5-5 for the Racing Point guys. Just didn't do anything. Okay, Checo recovered, but neither of them did anything. Didn't go forward at all. Checo went back. Stroll did nothing.
Yeah, they just didn't...
Just nothing. Where was Racing Point? They're meant to be the second, third quickest car. And then they're fighting for 1 or 2 points in the back. 5-5.
I mean, honestly, with them, it just... You're right, they just did nothing. And it's weird whether... surely the performance can't have dropped off that much.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's crazy.
Entertaining factor they gave was, I think it was Stroll, and he allowed Gasly to do a great overtake up through Rouge and Radion.
Yeah. Yeah, that was true.
He played a part in the best overtake of the race.
Yeah, I think it was Perez, actually, so it wasn't even Stroll.
There we go. Played his part. Entertainment. But you still get 5.
Brilliant. Right, McLaren, and on to our third and final non-rating, and that is Carlos Sainz. Had an engine exhaust problem before the race even began, so he couldn't even start the race. Very kind of disappointing weekend for Carlos Sainz, because he would have been like, oh, I didn't get to race this weekend, and then he would have looked at Ferrari and gone, oh, that's the team I'm racing for next year. So double the disappointment for Carlos. Lando Norris, fantastic race. Considering the McLaren's race pace didn't quite seem there, compared to it, but he's finished ahead of both Racing Points. Almost was able to catch Ocon and Albon at the end through better kind of tyre conservation, but just probably needed a couple of laps more to really take advantage. But it's still... You're still, from the performances we've expected from McLaren, I think it's probably a 7 out of 10 still.
7 for P7.
7 for P7. I think that's a fair assessment, because he's driven a pretty solid and good race. So that's why I'm denied between an 8. But yeah, it was just good tyre conservation towards the end. But he didn't actually gain anything from it.
No. So, Renault's. I'll start with Ocon. Fantastic race from him. P5, yes. P5. I want to give Ocon like a 9. Or maybe an 8's more fair, but definitely his best race of the season. He made the last lap overtake on Albon. He jumped Albon at the start. Didn't do anything wrong. Had a fantastic race. Okay, he's finished way behind his teammate. Was it way behind?
It was way behind.
Confirmed. Maybe an 8's probably more fair. Maybe I'm going a bit over the top with 9, because it's good to see Ocon up there.
I think 8 is fair just because he spent a little too long getting past Albon in the latter stages.
But he still made the move.
But yeah, exactly.
There's no progress to be made after that position.
Well, so. He gained. He had a fantastic start. Only lost out on the safety car.
Yep.
Probably through being double stacked.
Yep.
In the pit stops to Albon. And then Albon was on the quicker compound and made the move stick. So he's kind of probably done the best he could have done today.
Yeah, I think this is nice to see Ocon getting the pace that Renault should give him. Finishing P5. Solid result. Give him an 8 out of 10. Danny Rick, though, oof. It's got to be a 10 out of 10.
It has to be.
Danny Rick, driver of the day, P4, finished only... less than 4 seconds, I don't know the points, but it was less than 4 seconds behind Max at the end. Gets the fastest lap, extra championship point in there. Faultless. When did he qualify in the end? Was he qualified 4th and finished 4th? Yes. Yes, but it was an immense drive and nearly got a podium on complete merit. It wasn't Max had pitted an extra one. It was he conserved his tyres. The top 3 hadn't. and he nearly nabbed a podium. Even one lap extra, and he would have been there with Max. 2 laps, I think, definite podium. But yeah, immense drive from Danny Rick, 10 out of 10. Showing the quality is there.
I think that's all that needs to be said on Renault in there. It was just a hugely impressive drive from Daniel Ricciardo. So we then move on to Red Bull, and I'll do the negative one out the way first. Alex Albon, again, not really doing anything to say that he should be in Red Bull. And it's utter rubbish that people were saying that Red Bull's a toxic environment and really hindering Alex Albon. They've been more supportive to Alex Albon in that second seat than I think publicly, hugely more than Pierre Gasly, and maybe more so than Daniel Ricciardo towards the end of that relationship. Really supportive of Alex Albon, giving him everything possible, even laying the blame on some incidents, like in the Spanish Grand Prix, blaming the more experienced engineer for Albon's poor strategy. But today, Red Bull gave him everything, and Albon gave them nothing. And he got overtaken by Ocon at the start. Then the Red Bull team had an immense pit stop, and they put him on the medium compound, so at the restart of the safety car, he could have the fresher compound tyre, make the gap on Daniel Ricciardo, go up the track in kind of fresh air, build up a gap, so if he needed to pit, he could go there. But,
or just conserve tyres.
Well, exactly, trying to bring him in to the picture more. Instead, couldn't get past Daniel Ricciardo, struggled getting past Pierre Gasly on more used and a harder compound tyre than what he was on, and then losing the place to Esteban Ocon at the end as well, because he wasn't able to maintain any sort of gap or build any sort of gap to the Renault of Esteban Ocon from there. So he just doesn't have the race. It's a 3 out of 10 for Alex Albon for me. I just think this was a really big opportunity, a track that he did really well at last year, coming from last to 5th position in his first race in the Red Bull. This year, 6th, really poor race from Alex Albon for me, and I'm having none of it in terms of Red Bull stuffing him. He is just not performing what needs to be done in that car. Max Verstappen, 9 out of 10, did all that he could do. Tyres went, his call to not maybe pit, to risk kind of going on the softer compound to get past Daniel Ricciardo and, really try and put in some qualifying laps to get past the Mercedes. Probably cost them that allowed the Mercedes to just coast, but stayed there or thereabouts with Bottas all race without really challenging. Didn't challenge the Mercedes at the start and didn't really challenge the Mercedes at all, but it's still a hugely impressive drive to finish P3.
Yeah, he said it was just a boring race.
Yeah.
He's saying that a lot this year because he just puts it as fast as he can, but it's still miles behind the Mercedes, so he does nothing other than the 70th anniversary. Yeah, boring race, didn't do much. What do you give him?
9 out of 10 I gave him.
But what more can you say? Mercedes. Lewis Hamilton. I'll do Lewis Hamilton and then I can rip into Bottas freely. Lewis Hamilton won it basically yesterday after beating his teammate by half a second. Basically showed he's world champion already. It's ridiculous. He had won the race before it had begun and it was never in doubt. He had a bit of a moment at the end going, oh, my tyres, my front right.
I think I saw a tweet. I think it might be TRL Limitless, who I think is like a gaming YouTuber, going, if Lewis Hamilton comes out and says that was a tough race, I'm done. And then I think he literally
came out and said it was a tough race.
That was a tough race. I'm done. You're not fooling anyone, Lewis, at this. This will be Lewis Hamilton's easiest ever world championship.
Yeah. No competition. What else was I going to say? I'm gone. It's gone. There's tyres. AWS graphics tried to spice up going, he's got no tyres left. He was saying no tyres and it was fine.
Crofty and, Paul di Resta speculating that they might blow up again. He's like,
Yeah.
Martin Brundle knew. He's like, Mercedes aren't going to make that same mistake twice.
Yeah. So it's difficult to rate Lewis because he didn't put a foot wrong, but
He did lock up a time into the last chicane.
So he can't be faultless, but I give him a 9. I can't give him any lower.
No, he can't be any lower, but I don't think it was quite a 10 out of 10.
Bottas, on the other hand, it's just disgraceful. The only guy that can put on a title challenge.
Oof, disgraceful.
It is disgraceful. If one team dominates, that one team still has 2 drivers that can put on some kind of title fight. And Bottas, time in, time out, doesn't do it. And this race just sums up. Qualifying, I know we don't take into account qualifying, but half a second behind, not good enough. Then the whole race he was gone. Apparently there was team orders to maintain position, but he said he didn't know that. Maybe, but he still should have stayed close. He was like 6 seconds behind in the end, then complaining about numbness in his left foot breaking. It's ridiculous. I'm so annoyed with Bottas's. At the start of every season, it's like, I'm a new man. We had 0.2, now we've got new wife, and he's a better position in his life, and he's going to challenge, and Lewis is saying he's building as a man, and it's a joke. And he never put any pressure on. He kept Max behind, but he's in a bloody Mercedes. 3 out of 10. I could give him lower, but
yeah, I genuinely think Albon and Bottas. It seems stupid. A guy who's finished P6 and P2 in the points. It seems stupid to give them there, but you have to look at the respective of what they're doing in their cars, and they're not necessarily. Well, Bottas, we are expecting to challenge and to at least beat his teammate. Bottas for me is probably worse. Because he's got no excuse. Albon still has the inexperienced excuse that he might develop into a better driver in the future that is capable of doing what a Red Bull or a top team would require him to do so. He's just not doing that at the moment. Bottas had the experience at Williams. This is his 4th season now at Mercedes. He would have got. He can't use the excuse that it'll be Lewis's team, because if he's smart and with performances, and he's had the qualifying performances to kind of challenge, he would have had a team around him that would go, let's give you the best chance, Valtteri Bottas, to win the championship. And he just isn't good enough for that level. And is it harsh to rate Valtteri Bottas poorly for just not being good enough? Maybe, but if you're in a top car, you get rated by top car standards. And if you're not meeting those standards, then you get scores like 3 out of 10 for both of them. And it's just... It is the main big issue with F1, and you can't afford as a sport to just be like going, we're just waiting for 2022.
Literally.
And that is literally what we're doing, because it's not good. At the end of the day, sport is an entertainment business. Yes, it's about being the best and best possible, but it also has a responsibility to be an entertainment business. And like you said, if there are 2 cars in the team, at the very least you've got to have a title fight between that. For some point, the title fight lasted 3 races.
Yeah, well, there's now 50 points between them. Lewis can retire from 2 races and still be level if Bottas wins. Lewis has got 2 retirements in the bag that he can just use whenever. This is ridiculous. How many races have we got left? How many have we been? We've done, with the starting our third triple header, so 7, there's 10 races left. Lewis can just scrap 2 of them if he wants to.
He can sack off Abu Dhabi. Doesn't want to go.
He can just not turn up. Just take a few extra weeks off. That's the state we're in. 7 races in.
That's driver ratings for you. That's probably a good point to end it on. Let us know what your thoughts are. Obviously, in the race review podcast, things might get a little bit kind of spicy and ranty, probably, about...
Gives us more time to
to digest and have a situation about. But guys, we hope you've enjoyed this video. We hope you enjoyed the race. Let us know in the comments down below what your driver ratings were. But if you're new around here or haven't done so already, I mentioned it at the start of the video, but Stephen, what can they do?
They can like, subscribe and ding that bell.
Oh yeah, a little bit. That was a nice little rhythm to that. Yeah. Yeah, a little bit. Boom, you're kind of styling it out.
I've set the speed record, now I'm going for style points.
Okay, nice. Well, let us know what the style points are on that after you've clicked subscribe as well. But guys, we do appreciate it. That's it from us today. So for now, you F1 fans, keep racing.